Okay, we're going to solve what are called literal equations. Really, they're no different than a regular equation. You just have to think of the variable that you want to solve for, in this case x, as the only variable in the problem, and everything else works like numbers we do in a regular equation. So if I want to solve for x, I have to think about, what do I need to move to the other side? Well, I want to get rid of the minus 3z, and I need to get rid of the 2. All right, well, what would I get rid of first in an equation? Well, I'd get rid of the thing that's furthest away from the x. So let's just add 3z to both sides. And since these are not like terms, this would just be 4l plus 3z equals 2x. And now, if I'm solving for x, I just divide by 2. The key on this end is we need to divide the entire side by 2. Not just, we can't pick and choose. Once that 4l and plus 3z get together, then they can't be separated by division. So I need to divide that entire side, and we're left with 4l plus 3z over 2 equals x. Okay, here's another one for p. This one of the ways to think about it is we can think about it like a proportion. So let me look at it as r over 1 equals p plus 5 over m minus 1. And when we solve a proportion, basically two fractions equal to each other, we can cross multiply. So this would become r times m minus 1 equals p plus 5. And now if I want to solve for p, the only thing else I have to get rid of is the minus 5. Again, though, be careful here. The m minus 1 is in parentheses, so it would have to be multiplied by the r first before we subtract 5. So do not combine the 5 and the negative 5 and the negative 1, even though it looks tempting. And there's our answer. Here's another example, solve for h. So here, again, a couple ways of doing it, depending on what you like to do with the equations. I'll do this as another trick. We don't like the fraction, so let's get rid of the fraction first. Multiply everything through by the denominator. And so we get 2a equals, and then here the 2's cancel. And we're just left with the b and the h. And if I want to solve for h, I just divide both sides by b. All right, here's another one that sometimes people get messed up about because they see that cube and they don't like it because we don't really solve for cubics, or we haven't really yet. But this isn't about solving for the x cubed. That's just another variable sitting out there. We want to solve for c. So in this case, I got to get everything on the c side over to the other one. So first let's subtract 3. So x cubed minus 10. And now if I want to solve for c, let's divide everything through by 5d. All right, here's one last example. This is kind of a trick example. You want to use it when you see this solve for capital F. Whenever you see that you have these two things where you see like two capital F's, so you're trying to think, how do I get one on one side? How do I make them into one capital F? What we're going to do in this case is we want to factor, and we want to take out the variable that we want to solve as the greatest common factor. So I'm going to bring the f out front, and now there's only one f left in the problem, and so I can solve for this. This is f times a minus b. How do I get rid of multiplication? I just I just divide. So there's my answer.